bring this back. This was a few days ago, but we didn't really talk about it. So this story is titled, "Is the DNC planning to go to war against the left?" The answer is they've been at war. You're catching up. But what they're talking about here is, so the Democratic National Committee Chair Tom Perez released his picks for the 2020 Democratic National Convention committees. Ooh, committee appointments, committee nominations. Okay, this has got to be nice and fair and balanced and people that support multiple candidates, right? Right? Nope, that's not what it is. The list of nominees, Sunrise Movement political editor Evan Weber said Sunday, looks like a who's who of people explicitly opposed to the progressive agenda. So Kevin Gosztola is a managing editor of Shadowproof, sparked a flurry of responses when he shared Perez's list on social media. He noted people including Bakari Sellers, who's nominated to sit on the platform committee. He said, quote, not Sellers, but I'm going to get this guy's name wrong, Gostola's, said, Sellers drafted a letter and spearheaded effort in 2016 to ensure the DNC platform did not adopt language Bernie Sanders supported, which would have acknowledged responsibility to confront humanitarian crisis facing Palestinians in Gaza. He added, that's at the end of it. He added, Carol Browner was on the list, also for the platform committee, and listen to this. So a Clinton delegate during the 2016 platform drafting committee meeting voted against a ban on fracking, Medicare for all, opposing the Trans-Pacific Partnership, keeping fossil fuels in the ground, and a measure to halt abuse of eminent domain by fossil fuel industry. Right? Sounds like someone progressives would love. Perez also nominated former Congressman Barney Frank. Barney, I hate Bernie Frank. He was nominated for the Rules Committee. Gosztola pointed out that Frank has argued that the Green New Deal, he's argued against the Green New Deal and sits on a board of directors of Signature Bank in New York, which is, as the New York Times reported, is a go-to lender for President Donald Trump's family as well as Jared Kushner's family. So Frank also penned the 2015 Politico op-ed entitled "Why Progressives Shouldn't Support Bernie." Political analyst Lauren Martinchek in a Sunday post on Medium also highlighted concerns from the list. She says, even more controversial and dangerous than Barney Frank is John Podesta, also on the Rules Committee, who said in the infamous leaked DNC emails that they needed to make sure Bernie is, quote, ground to a pulp, and asked, quote, where you stick the knife in. If this process were even remotely designed to be fair, this man would not be allowed anywhere near this convention. Another incredibly questionable choice is Alex Padilla, vice chair of the Platform Committee. Padilla gained notoriety for refusing to count 2 million votes in the 2016 California primary, a move that undeniably favored Clinton and handed a massive disadvantage to the Sanders campaign. He was sued for this. So there are other names that were on this list. This is a list of appointees that appears specifically stacked against one specific candidate, Bernie Sanders. So this is sort of like what I was talking about in the clip that we released this morning, where I was basically concerned about the caucus app that's going in Iowa. This is more institutional, putting things in place and being like, look, we're following the rules. We've nominated the people for the positions and putting the people in the positions, which is what we're supposed to do. And it's like, yeah, but you also are supposed to be fair and impartial, and you appear to have stocked it with a bunch of former Hillary campaign folks and people who have publicly and repeatedly said that they will do anything and everything to stop Bernie Sanders from winning the nomination. And they're going to be on the platform committees and the ethics committees and the rules committees, and like, they're going to have a lot of control over whether Bernie can win the nomination. And they all seem incredibly biased against him. How is this fair and impartial? And they're going to be like, we're allowed to pick the nominee in a cigar smoke-filled back room. It doesn't matter. Just shh. Sit down and take it. This is us. We're laying it out. This is what it's going to be. He's not going to be in. You guys can vote for him. You guys can vote for him. We'll make sure it doesn't look like he won. And if it does look like he might win, we'll find ways of making sure he doesn't. But it's all quiet. You can vote. You can vote. Here's a little placebo ballot, everyone. It's being rigged. It's being cheated. It's being stolen. Again, actively in front of everyone's faces. Every step of the process is the scales are being tipped. Again, there's ample evidence that this happened in 2016. And I do want to point out, I mentioned, the DNC fraud lawsuit that was filed in Florida was thrown out, and they had been going through an appeals process. I didn't even catch this, but just a few days ago, it was accepted into the Supreme Court. So the DNC fraud lawsuit will be heard in the Supreme Court. I think they have a deadline for submitting some documents and stuff. When you get into large class action lawsuits against a major political party in the United States, there's a lot of minutia that I'm not familiar with. But I know that there are some deadlines that come up in March, so that won't even be fully adjudicated until much, much later. But this is obvious, right? And that's part of the system. That's part of the thing that pushes everything down the road, is to push everything down the road, to keep it so that, we did an unfair thing. Oh no, golly gee, let's see if we can't get around to that in like 4 years, 5 years maybe. What do you think? Well, we'll talk about it later. We just won this time. You guys are dumb. We didn't do anything wrong. We'll handle it in court in a few years. Don't worry about it.
So someone was mentioning in chat that Status Quo with Jordan Sheridan talked to Nina Turner about this today, and she said, let's say quote from F. Google, the DNC should be ashamed of themselves, and if they try to do what they did in 2016, they have another thing coming. So that's the thing.
They better have another thing coming.
Yeah, no,
I want to actually see some real fighting.
I want to see Sanders, if this happens, Sanders just go nuclear on them if they try and pull anything like this. And he has the support and the money and the ability to do that if they do it. And I think that they realize the precariousness at least to a degree that their DNC is now built on. And again, that's what I'm saying. Like they at some point, it's bigger army diplomacy. If Sanders is able to run away, they're not going to be able to do anything. But he's also strong enough that if they do any real shenanigans, he has the ability to just destroy the entire Democratic primary process if he chooses to. So he has the power.
Yeah, he has that kind of political capital, right? He's at a point. If he were to win the nomination and ultimately win the presidency, he would be inaugurated at the age of 79. Right. This is a man that, I mean, we love his policies, we love his platforms, we love the revolution that he's starting, and we are all getting involved at various levels. But this is not someone, and his campaign slogan is so perfect. Not me, us, right? This is not somebody who can be the torchbearer forever. Yeah. So it might be like, hey, it might be time to cash in that political capital. So you definitely didn't do it in 2016. And I know there are a lot of people who are upset about that.
Yeah.
Like, I've been making a lot of apologies for the strategy that Bernie Sanders has chosen. And I think in a lot of ways it has proven effective, or at least is panning out in the way that you would assume using that strategy would pan out. But yeah, if he doesn't take the gloves off when they cheat him inevitably this time, and I don't know what to do.
Everyone's watching now. Sanders is ready. He is. I mean, it's not. In 2016, it actually very much reminds me of Marie Newman's campaign when we talked to her after she got slighted by Dan Lipinski, and she's like, look, I either had enough money to run again, which she's doing now, or I had enough money to fight a corrupt process and a corrupt political system, and she chose to run again. Sanders seemed to have made that same calculation, and I'm sure at this point, like I said, he knows that this is it. This is the moment, and he has a lot of people's lives weighing on his shoulders.
Yeah,
and I feel like he will fight back, but we'll see.